Nate Mills alongside the Buffalo Sports Hall of Famer Vic Carucci here at the Bills facilities after an eventful first round for the Buffalo Bills, trading back 3 different times. Brandon Beane was cooking tonight.
Yeah.
They started out with the 26 overall pick. They went back to 28, back again to 31, and now they have ended up in that 35 slot, the 3rd pick in the 2nd round, which is on Friday. And do you think Brandon Beane has any more moves left in him after a night like tonight? I mean, he kept us all on our toes.
Yeah, no, I think he's still probably in a move mode, and I think don't be surprised if even some of the moves would include the 2027 draft, because I think that's what you usually start finding after an active first round like this and the accumulation of these picks. When you're adding all that ammunition, that's usually the point. But finding players and remembering that they've got a lot to add to on the defensive side of the ball. Remember the shift from the 4-3 to the 3-4. You've got to get the right fits, the right parts for that, and I think this draft is critical in that regard.
A big draft capital night for the Buffalo Bills. They came in with 7 picks. They now leave with 9. That's including 3 4th-rounders, 2 5th-rounders, and there's a lot of names still out there on the draft board that the Bills were sort of eyeballing before today. There's some names out there like a Cassius Howell, Denzel Boston, and we'll get into those a little bit more later. But for you, Vic, what names kind of stand out to you for tomorrow at least, or on Friday at least in the 2nd round?
I'm still going to talk about Caden McDonald from Ohio State. Big defensive tackle, a big space-eating type of player that you want to have in the middle of your defense. And I'm pretty sure, looking at the roster right now, the Bills don't have that guy yet. McDonald could be that guy. Another one, looking at the wide receiver position, Denzel Boston. What I like about him is his size. From Washington, he's a bigger kind of receiver, and I think in some ways fits the mold. He doesn't have maybe the explosive athleticism and certainly the speed of a Casey Concepcion, who Cleveland ended up getting and took off the board before Buffalo was able to make when they had their original 26 pick, but a guy that I think could still be a complementary fit in the Bills' offense. Otherwise, I think it's generally look at linebacker and edge, type rusher, linebacker who can be on the outside, linebackers who could be on the inside. Keep in mind, this team is down to only a couple of leftover linebackers on its entire roster, so they've got to rebuild there.
Yeah, there's a few names out there that come into mind for me. I think you need to get some size in the middle part of that defense. Get more size in the box, and one name that I look at, and I might have some bias in this covering some Big 12 athletics last year, but I love Jacob Rodriguez on Texas Tech. He's a leader type. He's a little bit older in age, but he brings the thud in the A-gap, and I think that's exactly what the Bills are looking for too. Some more size up the middle with your hand in the dirt. That's C.J. Allen from Florida. One downside to C.J. Allen, though, the measurables for him, the arms are a little short.
Right.
But if you're looking for that bulldozer up the middle, we've talked about nose tackle too for the Buffalo Bills. I think that would be a great pick too. You want to go a little bit more athletic, some more speed off the edge? Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. He's going to beat you with his arms. He's going to fight tooth and nail to get to the quarterback. And I think if you have speed coming off the edge like that, that would be a great fit in that Bills defense. Keyword, defense. I think that is what they need to address, even though, fans have liked, a wide receiver. That's been, the main cry this offseason. And to your Denzel Boston point, his athleticism could fit well too.
And Nate, as much as, and I love all the names you mentioned in terms of fitting somewhere along the line, because first of all, all of them are going to likely be there when the Bills make their choice, or most of them when the Bills make their choice, if they make their choice with the 3rd overall pick of the 2nd round. But here's the other thing. You have a lot more spots defensively to address, and I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be on the list collective that we provided here, but before this draft is through with 9 overall picks, I think a good portion of them are going to lean on the defensive side. That's one. And then 2, again, more maneuvering, perhaps more accumulation of picks, and don't rule out something that comes up for next year, which is considered, 2027, considered the better draft.
So we've talked about the window that the Bills have for the Super Bowl, right? And there's a lot of holes to fill on defense and obviously some on offense. They don't have a starting left guard right now. They're looking for a deep threat wideout too. Do you think the answer to that problem is going to be in this draft, or do you think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's in this draft. I think when you start getting into the second day, and then of course, day 23. But looking where they've loaded up with 4th-round picks, 5th-round picks, I mean, these are people that are borderline to even make your roster. This isn't necessarily going to be an easy team to make. They're still a contending team. I won't say that they're in a full rebuild at all, but I think they're in a reset, which means yes, new faces will come aboard. I think they're going to do it with a very specific purpose to fill key spots, as I say, on this 3-4 side, and when you bring in players who are rookies, when you bring them in as draft picks, you can acclimate them better to your system, right? Rather than trying to get someone from another team and convert them to what you're doing.
So it's much more enjoyable to talk about football moves, guy for guy. What guy can they pick up, right? But the reality for the Bills is that they're on the lower end of the NFL in terms of salary cap, only $12 million in the cap space right now. So because of that, do they even keep that 2nd rounder because of that signing bonus? Do you think that could be a reason why they get rid of it?
That's a good question. I'll think for the moment that it's something they would want to keep, and if there's somebody targeted, I don't know that you make 3 specific moves like they did. Now, part of this is what you're collecting in overall picks, but to me, it feels like they know, Brandon Beane specifically knows that getting that 3rd pick of the 2nd round and then going by their board, how they rate their players, not the Mel Kipers or all the draftniks or us, that he has maybe a very specific player in mind, and we'll see, because we didn't get to hear from him after round 1. There was nothing for him ultimately to talk about in terms of a selection, but we'll see when he speaks tomorrow after the picking that they do tomorrow night. Or Friday night, we'll see what that looks like.
And so, yeah, I didn't mention this earlier, but a reminder that the signing bonus does count towards the Bills' cap space, which is, again, why it was such a good move for Brandon Beane tonight to trade back as many times as he did, because we were looking on Spot Track earlier, and that original 26 spot, again, estimated around $8.8 million for that signing bonus. They would have had $3 million left. There's not much you can do there.
And you want the value. I mean, again, you can do a lot of machinations with your cap to make room for that. Yeah. I'm not saying that would have been impossible, but it's more about value, and it's more about justifying to ownership, to Terry Pagula, who's writing the checks, paying the bills, that okay, we made this pick, say, at 26, and Terry knows, as well as anybody in the hierarchy of this team, where that guy was graded. And if they, at the end of the day, clearly they didn't have anyone that they felt was justifying of that 26 pick.
I think that's a word that should be in everyone's mind tonight. Value. And why I think this was a masterclass for Brandon Beane is how well he leveraged that value. And there's still a lot of action left to go for the Buffalo Bills' 2nd round on Friday. For Vic Carucci, I'm Nate Mills from the Bills facilities in Orchard Park.